Fortnite Competitive has always had crazy year after crazy year, but 2024 has been different. In Major 3, EU pros came all the way to NA just for FNCS. Ex-elite player Peterbot just had the craziest season and some would say comeback of all time. Iamzo just had the unluckiest year of all time. Imagine getting DDoSed the Major 1 Grand Finals, griefed by randoms Major 2 Grand Finals, and getting your whole POI nerfed 10 hours before the final Major 3 Grands. Don't forget about all the players that couldn't make it to LAN for personal issues and visa problems. 2024 has easily been the craziest year of Fortnite competitive history. Let's start with Peterbot and Poyo, the hot topic of discussion since LAN has ended. Before we dive too deep, let's highlight his past 2 LAN placements. In 2022, Peterbot placed 37th at the Fortnite Invitational with Jamper, and then in 2023, Peterbot placed 26th at the FNCS Global Championship LAN last year with Byla. He was actually on Elite for the 2023 LAN, but left shortly after as his contract came to an end. 2022 and 2023 were not hot years for Peter as he wasn't placing too well, and Bugha claims he sold him. Funny enough, after Bugha placed average at this LAN, he tweeted, "Top 14, dudded, $12,000 or something. Peter sold my grands, then became the best player in the world, looking for trio." Now fast forward to present time. Peter might have had the most insane season of all time. Set the Elim records in solo cash cups, played insane every duo cash cup, all 3 FNCSs, and now winning the biggest LAN of the year. You've probably watched several videos on how good he has been, so we'll keep it short. Second, first. An average placement of 1.33 in 3 FNCS Grand Finals. Then placing first at the FNCS Global Championship. No duo has ever been this consistent since the likes of Zay and Sav. And he didn't just have insane placements this season, he broke several records. The Solo Cash Cup single game Elim record and several duo Cash Cup records. And then at Globals, he placed a record of 985 points, the most ever at a Fortnite LAN. He won 5 games, the highest of all time, and then combine these 2 records with the fact that they got 81 eliminations, just insane. And the insane amount of solo clutches Peterbot had, editor, roll the clips.
Go well if you step into Peter's domain. Meanwhile, Thomas HD, Queasy are setting up the victory royale.
Thomas HD, Queasy, they know. It's Peterbot and Bugha.
Oh my God.
Deal with, but Peterbot gets a huge chunk out of Queasy. Thomas is gonna fall. One more shot could do it. Peterbot with the refresh, continuing to break through on the long ground. He's making the impossible happen.
Queasy versus Bugha up top. Takes him down. Queasy versus Peterbot now. How badly do you want it? Queasy is looking for the tag. Both shots can easily go any way. Peter finds the first one. Can he get the second? He is incredible. Meaning here. Tito goes down. The next one is down too. Batman Bugha sent back to the lobby. 3 players now here. Peterbot looking at a 1v1v1 and another one. Down goes Bars. Can he find the final fight here? Dukes is excellent in these type of scenarios, but Peterbot is just a little better. Up top, the high ground hit is good, and he needs to go. And he does it again.
It was also worth noting that Peterbot was quad contested at the raft, but the other teams didn't dare try to shoot at them for Surge because they were simply scared of him. People deliberately rotated away from him during their rotations to zone because they wanted nothing to do with him. Nobody contested him during the Grim season because he was just that good. And then nobody contested him for the scan coin during LAN because he is just that good at fighting and will grief your entire game. And then people claimed he was using a DMA or just secretly cheating. He then proceeds to win LAN, which is impossible to cheat at. After this year, there's a real argument that Peterbot may have surpassed players like Veno, Queasy, Seti, Cammy, Bugha, and Miro as the new GOAT of Fortnite. Let us know if you think he should even be in these conversations in the comments below. Now, we made a full video on Iamzo, but he just kept getting unluckier and unluckier. 2024 was nothing short of chaotic for him. He just faced unfortunate event after unfortunate event. FNCS Major 1, he was doing extremely well after day 1, as he was in first place. A few games into day 2, while he was still in first place, he got DDoSed and fell out of the top 5. This resulted in no LAN qualification and significantly less money. Some speculate the owner of the house got paid off to do this by a pro, but nobody knows for sure. After this, we wanted to make sure this never happened again to Yamzo, so he moved into a new house and we hooked him up with Earthlink fiber internet. When DDoS attacks like this happen or any issues come up, they're quick to fix the issues. They're ranked number 1 in customer support after all, so this was essential for him. We didn't want anything like this to happen to him ever again. If you're interested in the same service pro player Yamzo uses, check the link in the description. So even with these Wi-Fi improvements, Major 2 was nothing short of unfortunate in its own way. Yamzo and Rise had played amazing all season long until the grand finals came along. They had a pretty good split, but some randoms that just didn't care at all landed on them without Yamzo and Rise even knowing that would happen. They had to make adjustments to their game plan and play different, which just ruined their vibes. And then moving on to Major 3, it felt like it was the season. Yamzo teamed up with the EU GOAT, Tayson. We'll cover EU coming to NA shortly, but Yamzo and Tayson were favorites to take Peterbot down and finally win their first grands. But then Epic decided to nerf them less than 24 hours before grand finals and just screw up Tayson and Yamzo's game plan. See, they landed at a split that relied on cactuses to be good, but this went down the drain after Epic nerfed the cactus. And in addition to that, some randoms were stealing half their loot in their split, which made it even worse. They finished 15th at Grand, something about Tayson and finishing 15th. Now some good luck actually crept Yamzo's way. Turtle, a player that qualified out of EU in Major 3, could not go to LAN for personal reasons, so Cheeps had to pick up a backup player to play globals with. He went with the best player from the reserves list, Yamzo. Yamzo and Cheeps were playing great in scrims, but then Yamzo's good luck ran out and the bad luck crept back in. Blast saw some paperwork for his legal guardian was wrong. He is under 18, so this was crucial. They didn't let him resolve the issues for legal reasons, therefore he got disqualified in the most unlucky way possible. This is a reminder to you kids to make sure all your forms are filled out properly. Looking everything over is important. Yamzo then went live explaining what happened.
Basically, I filled out a form that was supposedly there's a chaperone form and there's a parent legal guardian form. So since I'm underage, like the chaperone doesn't matter who's my chaperone, and like the legal guardian had to be my mom. So I guess for like the legal guardian one, I had to put my mom, but instead I put Faxity because like he's my legal guardian, you know. But so basically, yeah, I put Faxity underneath that. I put Faxity underneath that and not my mom. So basically, like I guess I wanted a reason to kick out Faxity because like I guess he's like going over the top, but like never got really a warning. When he was putting the content on his back.
Now, if this year couldn't get any crazier, a majority of the Middle East duos couldn't come to LAN for both personal reasons and visa issues. This allowed reserve players like Rise, Quanti, and Agers, and some others to play at LAN. Funny enough, Rise was a replacement for one of the Middle Eastern guys that couldn't come to America, and then the duo of that player couldn't come either. Rise ended up choosing Agers as his replacement, so a full NA duo wound up replacing a full Middle East duo. Another controversy was also sparked when Quanti ended up replacing Gon's duo as he couldn't come to LAN due to various visa issues. Epic initially said he had to pick a player from the reserve list, but then changed their minds and the language barrier was too much. After Quanti found out, he tweeted, "Don't know what to say, got replaced by someone who isn't qualified for globals or a backup/reserve player. I got told they made him an exception." But later that day, Epic reverted this as they received backlash since other players weren't allowed to pick someone outside the backup player pool when their duo wasn't allowed to come. Quanti confirmed this by tweeting, "After multiple complaints and tickets, I have received the spot for globals. Thank you Fortnite, but this shouldn't have even been a problem in the first place. Can we just follow the rulebook? Quanti x 916 gone, still landing Mount Olympus." Complicated scenario, but at the end of the day, good on Epic for sticking to the rulebook. This isn't the end of it yet either, as another incident happened with Asia player Wazi. Quote unquote, according to his friend, the hotel cleaners are sus about us and kicked us out of the hotel, and since we got kicked out of the hotel, we got kicked out of the tournament. No other info, nothing at all. Now, we will let you make your own assumptions as to what happened with him, as lots of speculation went around on what happened, but overall a very confusing situation. This disqualified the whole duo, and that Asia duo spot went to another NA duo in Braids and Visuals, who finished 37th place at the end of the tournament. And the last notable disqualification was Faxity, but in this case he had just been kicked out of the arena for using inappropriate language. He was carrying content at the LAN, but Epic and Blast are strict about inappropriate language usage, which they should be. So far, Globals has already been crazy, but we aren't even done yet. Imagine being in 7th place, game 6 on day 1, and everyone above you is extremely shambles. And you could really bump up the leaderboard with a good game. Imagine you're 555, stacked out of your mind with Surge, but then die to a stupid bug. That's what happened to one of our very own Elite Paper and Victor V. This bug cost them potentially thousands in prize money, and they ended up placing 21st, as this just killed all the vibes for day 2. But Paper was in good spirits after the tourney, as he tweeted, "21st, $16,000, excited for the future, me and Vic learned so much, we are confident for trios." Victor actually started a series called Road to Globals, which was a nice insight into his days while at the LAN. Also, we need to highlight their walkouts on both day 1 and day 2.
And making it all the way to the biggest stage of the world is not a simple feat, and now it's showtime. Welcome Paper and Victor V. The fans know him, the community loves him, but they need to step it up if they want to have a trophy finish here today.
Now, if we're recapping the year, what's a recap without highlighting Thomas HG placing 2nd place again? But they actually managed to keep it close up until game 11. Going into the 11th game, there was speculation that Queasy would run it back similar to 2022 Invitational and try and land on 1st place to hopefully close the gap. Funny enough, Queasy trolled the whole broadcast by marking Peter's drop on the map, but didn't end up landing there like he did with Veno in 2022 when Seti and Cammy were in 1st. Fast forward the game, they ended up dying mid-game early, resulting in Peterbot winning the tournament and the last game with ease and no pressure. Scented may have been known as the king of 2nd places, but Thomas and Queasy may have taken that title. Now this next thing is absolutely heartbreaking. Vanya, the Major 2 FNCS winner, didn't get his visa approved in time, which resulted in him not being able to come to LAN. Not coming to LAN because of visa issues is the worst way to go out. This was incredibly sad for the fans of EU, but Peterbot fans were very, very happy. Vanya and Swizzy were actually going to land on Peterbot, and they had eliminated each other in practice before the LAN in various scrims. It was a very even playing field, as there were 2 very good fighting duos fighting it out at a top 3 drop on the map. Had Vanya been able to come to LAN, we may have had a completely different outcome and leaderboard. Not being able to come due to visa issues is extremely heartbreaking, but this is just adding fuel to the fire. He might just go out and have a Peterbot-like year in 2025 to make up for the LAN. Swizzy ended up placing 10th with Japko, who he chose as his backup duo from the reserve list. Not bad at all, but had Vanya been able to come, people projected them to place at the top of the leaderboard, maybe even won it all. Now let's talk about the Elite Boys. Sphinx and Dukes, 2 players who had pretty average years, ended up being the 3rd highest placing NA duo. Sphinx had a rough year until Major 3, and Dukes was in a similar situation with limited options on who wanted to play with him. They ended up finding each other, both hungry with something to prove. They grinded like crazy, and their hard work ended up paying off. They found each other at their lows, and now they are both hot names for people looking to pick up trios in 2025. Ex-Elite player Bolts and Bryce were the 2nd highest placing NA duo in 6th place. After a rough 2023, ex-Elite player Bolts just had an amazing season. He showed this season he can easily be a top fighter in NA, and why he should be on a top trio in 2025. Sphinx, Dukes, Bolts, and Bryce all have extremely high stocks going into 2025. We mentioned Paper above, but what we didn't mention was that Victor V is only 14 years old. After 2 disappointing seasons with Muzz, he ended up going the Miro route and picking up someone underrated. He helped Victor V establish himself as a top NA fighter, and Victor's stock is also higher than ever going into trios. Paper showed promise with Victor, and we cannot wait to see what they do in 2025 with trios. Now the best topic for last, EU coming to NA during Major 3. EU had something to prove. They wanted to make a statement and show they could place well with ease on NA. Tayson, Veno, Pink, Japko, Blaha, Mixon, and Kylie were some of the notable EU players to come to NA for Major 3. Although these players had their moments, they shined during Major 3, none of them outside of Veno really did all that great when it mattered the most during Grands. We also had Mongraal and Savage come over to NA, and although they made Grands, they didn't place too hot when it mattered most. The best OCE players, Alex and Worthy, also came from OCE to play NA Grands in hopes to get practice before Globals and not get a bottom 5 placement again. They ended up doing decent in the NA Grands, but placed 45th at LAN. Just not showing out for their region. Veno was the only player out of all the players that came to NA to do well, as he placed 4th in Grands, qualifying him and Clix to Globals. They placed 11th while contested, so most would say they had a pretty good run for their circumstances. Clix is still looking for that FNCS win. He will probably excel as a support player on a trio with an insane fragger and smart IGL. 2025 may be the year if Veno decides to run it back with Clix and look for one more. Back to EU vs NA region debate, we wanted to highlight this stat that was posted all over Twitter. During the LAN, EU players eliminated NA players 171 times, while NA eliminated EU only 166 times. Just an interesting stat depending on the way you look at it. But NA won LAN, so NA holds the title of the best region for at least a minimum of another year. At the end of the LAN, Epic also made an insane announcement. As we kept mentioning throughout this video, Trios is coming back after years of asking, along with the return of Siphon. The only question is, how will the qualification spots be split up? We made this hypothetical split. Let us know what you think in the replies. NA gets 12, EU gets 10, Brazil 4, Asia 4, Middle East 3, and OCE gets none. Ha! Trios is about to make 2025 a whole lot more interesting. YouTube thinks you'll like these videos on screen, so check them out if you get bored. If you made it this far in the video, comment who you think is the GOAT and why. Make sure to like, sub, and we'll see you next time.